You see the truth from your jnana chakra, from your third eye, the eye of knowledge, or the eye of wisdom that you have inside of you. Belief is not really a very important subject in the Darshana. India is a land of freedom. Everybody is free to lead, not follow, their own way of life. So there are so many realized seers of the truth, and you can choose from any one of them. So we'll be looking at all the Shad Darshanas, the Astika Darshana, and also looking at Jaina, Bauddha, and Charvaka. Philosophy in the Indian context really doesn't exist. Of course, you might ask, what are these Shad Darshanas or Nava Darshanas? What is Nyaya? What is Sankhya? What is Vaisheshika? What is Yoga? Mimamsa, Vedanta, Jainsim, Buddhism, Charvaka. This is kind of a misnomer where we use the word philosophy for darshanas. They are darshanas. Let's understand what philosophy means in the Western context before we get into the Indian point of view. In the West, the whole philosophy or study of philosophy as we know it started from Greece, and the Greeks had a goddess called Sophia, who was the goddess of knowledge and philosophy, the love of knowledge. So they would go to these temples of Sophia, where people would teach knowledge. In fact, many people in the world define philosophy as the unending quest for knowledge. So it's all about knowledge, it's all about acquiring things to your brain which you didn't know before, to your mind which you didn't know before. On the other hand, Darshana, the very word Darshana in classical Sanskrit means seeing. It comes from the root word Drishya. Drishyate, it is that which you can see. So how do you see this? See, this is a very important difference between what we call as philosophy and Darshana. So what do you see in terms of the Indian context of Darshana? You see the truth not through your physical eye, not through these two eyes. You see the truth from your jnana chakra, from your third eye, the eye of knowledge, or the eye of wisdom that you have inside of you. This is a major difference. So, as long as you don't have your third eye open, you will not be able to perceive truth according to the Indian tradition. On the other hand, philosophy is independent thinking on truth. For example, it has got nothing to do with your internal quest. It has nothing to do with life per se. See, one of the things that people have blamed the Indian Darshanas, for a lack of what they call an Indian philosophers, is that Indian philosophers are always attached to life. In fact, the whole subject of Darshana deals with what we call as Adhyatma. Loosely translated as spirituality or spiritualism. Adhyatma means the study of Atma, the study of the self, and the self is expressing through life. So everything the Indian Darshanas did was connected with life. Unlike, for example, let's take Immanuel Kant, who writes about the categorical imperative. For example, good is good, it cannot be bad. That's a category, and it is imperative that good can only be good. Now, how does this apply to you. But the Western philosophers, they'll say, no, this is just a study of goodness. We are studying good. It need not be applied into your life. So here what happens in the Indian context, everything that is studied in the Darshanas, in Adhyatma, has to be applied to get rid of all the problems that you have in life. So, whether you're except for Charvaka, everybody else, Jaina, Bodha, through the Vedanta, they say that this life is somehow made up of sorrow, or tapa, heat, or it's bandhana, that you're bound by life, or you're bound by something, and one needs to get rid of this. In the Western context, philosophy need not be applied to make your life better or to get rid of something that is bothering you. That is one of the major differences between Darshana and philosophy. What is the result of Darshan? What do you hope to achieve through Darshan? That is to get rid of this sorrow, this dukkha, this tapa, this bondage, this bandhana, to achieve moksha, nirvana, kaivalya, many names. This does not exist in the Western philosophy. Another important difference is the knowledge that is acquired in the Western philosophy is basically of the outside. And in the Darshanas, it is actually not knowledge, but we will go into each one of these Darshanas in the future sessions. The knowing becomes important here. The knower becomes even more important. Not the knowledge per se, but the knowing and the knower. So that's another a very, very big difference. Because here, in all the Darshanas, again except for Charvaka, these Indian Darshanas speak about the Atman, the soul. But the Western philosophers have nothing to do with soul. They deal with mind. So, philosophy is that of mind, no soul. It actually comes from the word nous, a Greek word called nous, N-O-U-S, nous, which is roughly translated as mind. On one hand, we have something called pure knowledge that you acquire from the outside world, like why is the world this way, why are we made up of matter, why is water liquid, or what does gravity do, or why do two people of similar upbringing compete with each other. So this is pure knowledge that is acquired from outside, even when it concerns human beings. However, the Darshanas deal with applied wisdom. So what do you do? Okay, now that you know so many things, what do you do with it? You apply it to escape from the vagaries of life. So here what happens is, the rishis, the Darshanikas, again for a lack of word we call them Indian philosophers, they internalize the quest, the same quest of knowledge that the West talks about. They involute, they go within, they grow inside with the thought. It grows into, it grows as a tree, flowers, fruits, bloom. And then, when that gets institutionalized, and a lot of people gather around it, and there are discussions and debates, I mean, when it becomes an institution, then it is accepted as a darshan. In the darshanas themselves, there are two broad categories. One is called the Astika Darshana and one is called the Nastika Darshana. Surprisingly, a lot of Western philosophers and a lot of Indian modern philosophers have also misrepresented this as people who believe in God are Astikas and people who don't believe in God are believers and non-believers. Belief is not really a very important subject in the Darshana. Those who accept the authority of Veda as the primary source of knowledge or wisdom are the Astikas. And those who may be silent, like Buddha is silent about Vedas, he doesn't condemn or neither does he approve or disapprove, nothing. But he's categorized, the Buddhist philosophy is categorized as Nastika. The Jains are also, the Jaina philosophy is also considered as Nastika. Charvaka is the outright against Vedas. They are also Nastika. However, whether they call it, for example, Buddhist, again for a lack of word, philosophy, is called Alaya Vidya, or the Jainas, they talk about Kaivalya. All of them do deal with an abstract idea of a continuum of soul or spirit. Even though, like Buddha says, anatma, that there is no atma at all. What is there? Whether you call it Alaya Vidya or you call it whatever. But there is some continuity from life to another life, from birth to a rebirth. So this is the major difference between Western philosophy and Darshana. Then another question arises, why are there so many Darshanas? See, India is a land of freedom. Everybody is free to lead, not follow, their own way of life. To lead your own way of life, you need to have a certain system of knowledge or wisdom that is conveniently suited to your kind of thinking, your kind of outlook, your worldview, isn't it? So this is provided. In fact, I'm reminded of a very beautiful sequence from Mahabharata, where a yaksha, actually it's not yaksha, it's Lord Yama, who has trapped the Pandavas when they go to drink water, and Yudhishthira, the son of Yama himself, is made to answer multiple, very deep, let's call it philosophical questions. And one of the questions there that is asked is, what is the path? What is the path one must follow? The answer is really amazing.
तर्को प्रतिष्ठः श्रुतयो विभिन्ना नैको ऋषिरयस्य मतं प्रमाणं धर्मस्य तत्त्वं निहितं गुहायां महाजनो येन गतः सपन्थाः.
The path shown by the Mahajana in every eon, in every Buddha, there will be realized masters, rishi, guru, yogi, yati, who will come, who have seen drashtara, who have the drishti, the vision of truth, and they shall guide. Therefore, there are so many Mahajanas. Yanto Mahanubhava Andariku Vandanandu, says Tyakarata. So there are so many realized seers of the truth, and you can choose from any one of them. So we shall be looking at all the 9 darshanas. Of course, we accepted the Astika darshanas, the 6 darshanas, and the 3 Nastika darshanas. And we will be looking at them, the Shad darshanas, the 6 darshanas, in pairs. Okay, for example, Sankhya and Yoga are a dyad. So Sankhya is the theory, Yoga is the practical way to look at yourself. Nyaya and Vaisheshika, they are also a dyad. Okay, similarly, Uttaramimamsa and Purvamimamsa are Vedanta. So we'll be looking at all the Shad darshanas, the Astika darshanas, and also looking at Jaina, Bauddha and Charvaka. And if you stay till the end of the series, I'll also be telling you about a very, very important, which I myself subscribe to and lead to Darshana in my own life. A surprise at the end of it, the 10th Darshana which I'll be discussing. Right? Thank you.